Hi everybody, this is Dorothy Kelty from Raccoon Alley Creations, and it's Thursday, and I am one of the creators with Rach and Bella Crafts 100 Days of Junk Journaling Ideas. Now, we are into week 11, and next is week 12, and so here I am, Raccoon Alley Creations. All the things that have been created have been fabulous. Our theme today is vintage and ephemera themes. So I'm going to show you some vintage things. If you look at all these marvelous creators, and the things that people have been posting has just been fabulous. So 100 Days of Junk Journaling Ideas. Rachel, thank you for organizing this and for all you've done. Now, I love vintage. Okay, this is just one of the things that is my favorite. And I have all kinds of different vintage items here. I'm not going to show them all to you. I did a little lookup on what Google says. Excuse me. Is the difference between vintage and antique. Google says vintage is 20 to 22 years old to 99 years old. And 100 years or older is antique. So some of the things that I have here may actually be antique. But these are World War II letters. This was something that they did in World War II where they took copies of the letters and sent them. Vintage cards, music sheets. Here's a lean that's been taken. Vintage letters. So Marguerite Miller, for her collages and stuff, defines vintage as 30 years or older. And since I'm 74, I think that's a really good limit to have. Now, also, if you have copies of vintage things, pictures of vintage things, like Rachel uses in her kits, this is also, wonderful vintage images that you can use in a vintage journal. So I'm not showing you the whole kit, but you can see some of the beautiful images that she has in this sewing kit. It is absolutely a fabulous kit. Now, the other thing I'm just going to briefly show you is, and I have copied on the back of these, and I lightened up a tiny bit to make them maybe a tiny bit better for journaling, but those are going to go into my journal that I make. This here is papers that my mother collected. Now, my mother died in 1979, and so all of these papers and things are vintage, and I want to use her things into the sewing journal. She has sewing things, and she also has she did flower arranging and things. So all of those things are in there. So how do you tell if something is 30 years or more old? Well, one of the indications can just be the coloring. This is from 1943. It does have the year on it, and envelopes will have the year on it. But also when you see the pages are darker, kind of this beautiful caramel colored, that can be a sign, and it can be different. Now this is actually from the 40s, so but you can see that these pages are not as discolored as some of the other ones here are. So old patterns, old magazine things that have sewing directions or things in them. See, these are all legitimate things. Now, what do you do with them? Well, one of the things that you can do with them is simply to put them into a pocket in a journal. So I have over here in this tray, I took a lot of the ephemera and things from Rach and Bella's kit, and I have partially cut it out. So that makes it a little bit easier to cut out later, but it also keeps it together a little bit better. I think my sister Mary and I were talking about this, and she suggested it. Not sure if I was doing it before or not, but we'll give Mary the credit for this idea. Even this one, you see I cut the top and the bottom, but I want to tear these out if I'm going to use them. So in here, in all these things, we do have some pockets. So let me go to a pocket and just show you really easily. So just by taking one of these triangular pockets and cutting it out here, and putting it on a page, let's see, like on this page. Oops, there goes the old good old arm reach. Don't you just love that? So this is a tuck spot, and so I'm just going to run this down one side and across the bottom and put it in on this page. I think I need to reorganize my desk so that the glue is on the right side to make it easier to reach. But anyway, so just taking this and tucking it in here, you have an immediate beautiful piece of ephemera. Now this is actually a copy of a report card, not from the Atlanta high schools. Not sure where I got it, but you can also add some cute little ephemera to this. Let me just finish cutting out this little jar of buttons. So we can mix the beautiful images from Rachel's kit with other pieces of vintage ephemera to create like a little cluster. So this is these letters, and they can be glued. This was made by my husband's wife and her mother. They used to do these pressed flower things. They were Fran Ranaces, that was Mike's mother-in-law. And I think they're definitely vintage, okay? And they're beautiful. And so I can use these to make a cluster here. I think I'm going to tear this off. And I'm just going to put a staple to hold it together. Okay? So now it's stapled together. And now this can be put onto this card or possibly on the back of it to make a bit of a decoration, and then put in the pocket for the journal. Now, this could be, I'm going to glue this on here. So I'm gluing along the top or the bottom here. I have so many ideas, and I'm honestly not sure how far I'm going to get through here before my alarm goes off, because I decided to set an alarm, and that would help keep me to a short period of time. Okay, so I'm not sure how many of my fabulous ideas I'm going to get through. I do want to show this idea. Now sometimes you'll find these old cards This one is, this is like velvet rose petals coming through, and it says birthday greetings, and there's a signature and a poem or something inside. Now, one of the things that I like to do with these is to use them for an over-the-page tuck. But this one is too big. Let me find another one. Here we go. So this says, this was glued into an album, so to me this just adds a little character to it. This can tuck over a page like this, okay, and makes a really nice decoration here. And then it also, you can take it out and open it up, and you have more or hidden journaling inside. So now, what if you don't want it to say an orchid to my wife on Mother's Day? Well, then all you're going to do is take a little piece of a decoration or something and just cover it up. So here we have these decorations of Rachel's. Now, I'm actually not going to leave this whole. I'm going to cut this apart. Remember, just because she's put it together and you love it doesn't mean that you have to use it that way. So I'm going to just put this, wait a minute, I don't like that. Change my mind. Because that's green, I love green, and there is green on the background, but I think this, the colors in this one, will go a little better. So I'm just going to glue that on. You can also put some maybe fabric behind it or something to make to add to it. But there we go. Now it's no longer a Mother's Day card. And of course you can do the same thing here. Now this year, 1944, I'd want to leave that in there myself. So, but adding something else to it. So we can add this. Let's take a little bit of this music paper. So once again, we're just making a little bit of cluster. We don't have to hide. You can hide everything if you want, or you can just make a little decoration like this is. When I went to glue this and I looked at this, I saw that this had the beginning of the music pages on it and a little tiny bit of glitter glue from something. And so I decided to use that side instead. So it changes my cluster a little bit here. Here we go. And so now we can just, I like to offset it so that the top and the bottom are not the same. Okay, so now we have a really cute page decoration. Oh wait, what are we going to do on the back of this? That's not very pretty, is it? How about if we take, okay, I'm going to go ahead and tear some of this off. We'll take our music page again and put it right over the side of it. Okay, I'm just going to fold this right where it goes in, and I'm going to tear it to give it that nice torn edge. Now another thing is, if you're using, this is vintage, but if you're using things that are not truly vintage and you want to give it a vintage look, one of the things that you can do is just ink the edges. So this one, I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges. I'm not going to ink this edge. It's a little bit torn and things, so it looks nice and vintagey already. But I'm going to put this on and let this torn paper come back as part of it, okay? So let's put this on. Okay, and so now we have our beautiful page tuck. Now, because this comes down kind of at a slant, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and just tear this off a little bit. So now it emphasizes that slant on the page. Okay, let's go over here, and we'll just put it onto here. So now, here's our tuck here, and this back is music page. Again, you can add more things to this. What about, you could put a pocket on here, all kinds of things that you could do with that. I'm not going to spend too much time on each of these ideas because I want to get through some more ideas. Okay, so now here we have, this is play money. It's old play money. And that could be fun to use. This is part of a letter, typed letter from 1932. More cards. Let's get them up. Okay, now I really love these vintage letter pages. But the only thing you need to do with these is just put them in the journal as a page, okay? It can be decorated. You could add an edge here. So let's say, so here's some of these strips I've got, and I cut them with, I didn't have a fancy edge page that looks like the one in Rachel's, but I used one of my scissors to cut this off. So now these can be glued on or they can be sewn on. So if we just take and lay these out the way we want them, I like them kind of every which way. That's my favorite thing to do, is to alternate them back and forth for a little bit of variety. And of course, these are just all the pages, little bitty pictures from the pages in the book. Now, I could just take my sewing machine and stitch right along here. Or I can take my glue. We want to be real careful not to get glue where these holes are, or we'll have things stuck behind. It can go all the way up, or it can go just partially. Now, as you go back over it, if you decide you want more glue to hold these down a little bit, you can always just add a little bit more glue where they're overlapping. See? To hold them together. And now we have a really pretty vintagey page edge. Okay? Also, what can be fun is just an old check register. You can put that in. What else do we have here? Oh, gold bond stamp books. Okay, these pages are really fun, and a lot of them you'll see that the stamps, the glue is starting to come off, so don't be surprised if you see that. But you can also take something. Now I have this is an old Scholastic notebook. Again, no idea how old it is, but it tears really easily. But when you put two pieces of paper together, especially vintage paper like this, it helps make it stronger. Or you could take a piece of paper that is automatically stronger, like this one, okay, and glue it on here. Okay, so now we have a journaling card that we made out of this. Whoops, let's take that back up and line it up a little better. Okay, let's go ahead and cut this off. Okay, and now let's go ahead and decorate this again with some of our, okay, I'm going to tear this off. So again, I could cut around it, but tearing it is going to really give it this kind of a torn looking edge. Okay, now this could go on the front as a belly band where you can tuck some more things into it, or it can go simply as a decoration on the pages. I'm trying to decide which way this goes, and I kind of think that it could go either way, but I think I'm going to put it on this way. Okay, now I don't want to completely cover up the gold stamps or the background, because using vintage things, the beautiful vintage things are part of your decoration, in my opinion. So I'm just going around the edges here, and then I'm squiggling down the middle. Okay, and look at that, just like that. We have a journaling card, plenty of journaling space on the back of this, but you also have the notations and musical notations as a decoration. And now this can go into a pocket in our journal, or it can just be clipped to a page. Now, I have these they're right here because I got them out. I have some of these fun paper clips, but I also have like some rusty paper clips. So again, a rusty paper clip. If you like grunge, if you don't like grunge, you may not like this, but you can clip it, just clip it onto a page like that, and you're done. It's very simple to do. Now, here's a postcard, and this is a pretty postcard. It's from 1945. And just a short note from George to his wife, Mrs. George. Now, something like this, postcards can be used just like they are, vintage ones, and it's really, they can be quite beautiful. But you also could just decorate it a tiny bit. Now, this is vintage lace, and it actually, I think, was like a baby bonnet or something that went around. So, and I've just sort of been cutting it apart. So let's see if this will cut it. A lot of times when I'm cutting, I'll try and look places and see if it's, you know, if I can see where things are joined together, or if there's, you know, like a square design or something. So that can be very pretty. And can help make a design on this. Now this one I'm just going to use that with, I'm going to tear off these stamps as kind of a background. Now this time I'm tearing the edges. A lot of times I don't like to tear off the edges because you'll see a little bit of, you know, browner as you get to the edge, the coloring, and I like that. But this one, I think we're going to figure out which side is up. How's that for fun? And put it like this. So we're decorating the card a little bit like that. Or, alternately, we could put it on the back and use that as a decoration. Again, let's put it right side up. So I am going to first glue this here. I see why I was having trouble. One of those stamps is upside down. And then we'll glue this vintage lace. Now this, I have no idea how old it is. I know it's old because the trunk belonged to, that I found it in, it belonged to a person who's been dead for very, very many years. So this may go back to the 30s or 40s, or it could be, you know, 60s or 70s. Definitely before 1995, which is 30 years back, okay? So here we go. We'll just stretch it out here a little bit. Now, I want that year to show. Now, when I have something like this that is, you know, some glue could come through and glue it to something else that I don't want it glued to, I'll just take a piece of wax paper and wrap it in the wax paper while it dries. And that can be a fun thing to do. Now here we have, this is a paper coaster. And again, I'm not sure how old it is. I know it's old. You can see that the embossed design goes all the way through that. So we can take that and put it on something here. Now, this is a card. I thought this was so clever. This was a piece of wallpaper, old wallpaper, that was folded together into an envelope. Now, this can be put into the journal page. It can be made to be a flip around like this. So where it flips out, and you could do it in such a way that it's used as an envelope. Now, to use it as an envelope, I'm going to cut it down a little bit, because since it's flipping around the page, okay, like this, you know, I want to be able to get into the envelope here. Let me see what page I'm going to put this on. I think I'm going to put this on here. Now, when I glue this in, I'm going to glue it across the center here, where we see this line, and down each side here. That will secure it. But what it also creates is 2 more spots. Let's take this out. Welcome to Disneyland. So this can go in here or in here. So you have 2 tuck spots that you can put on here. So again, you know, just tuck some play money in, okay? And then you open this flips out, and there you have this. Now I am going to glue the sides here so that this will be secured, because you can't really write on the inside of this, I don't think. A lot of times with envelopes, when I put them on like this, I'll leave them open so it becomes a hidden journaling spot. But in this case, I'm not doing that. I'm closing them up here. Make sure there's none here. And there we have a flip out with a tuck spot on it. Well, it's been 30 minutes. I could probably go on for significantly longer with more fun ways to use these gorgeous vintage papers that I have, and really have fun with it. I do want to show you that you also can just attach things with a paper clip that's been modified. So see, this one is, can you see the way it is bent? Let me see if I can hold it up there. So the top and the bottom is just a regular page, but it's curled up a little bit. So then you put it on, you have a little bit of a decoration. So we can put, just use that to hold a vintage card of some kind, maybe a vintage recipe card. Like this. Okay, well, thank you very much. I want to thank Rach and Bella for allowing me to be part of this wonderful collaboration. I hope you've enjoyed these videos. I hope you will like the videos and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. I'm also working on a journal with the pages, and I will be videoing that when it's done. Okay? Look at this fun. This is an old bobby pin card, so that could be made into a journaling card as well. It's so fun.